Welcome to 10 Questions. Profiles from a Distance. A Dirtbag NPR production. Question number 1.
Introduce yourself like you're writing a Tinder bio. All the pertinent information, a few quirks.
I'm Richard Dweck. I just turned 27 on December 28th. I was born in 1993. My parents are 62. This month, January, my brother Raymond will be 29 soon and my sister Dory will be 31. She's 4 years older than me. My sister has 2 sons who are 5 and 8. I'm 5'7", but I lie on dating apps and put 5'8". I'm 90 pounds overweight. I work out twice a week with a personal trainer, but my diet still isn't great. I'm lactose intolerant, but I love lactose stuff. I'm a very quirky person. I'm very introspective and sensitive. I've had anxiety since I was 5 and I've been diagnosed with depression since I was 16 to 17. I became a huge fan of stand-up comedy in 2010 and wanted to do it right away, but I had no idea how to start, so I started in local improv in the summer of 2011 and got caught up in it for longer than I had expected, and on July 15th I was finally able to do stand-up for the first time, opening at the improv show I was on, and I've been doing it ever since.
Okay, we had some audio issues. So who you're actually hearing is Robo Richard Dweck, which would probably be a decent wrestling name, which will come into play later. He is 27. That's a good year. 27 is the start of getting old. Like at 27, I was able to go out at like 11 o'clock and come home at 3 and then go to work the next day. By the time you hit like 32, it'll be 11 o'clock and you'll be ready to go home. That's that big shift that happens during that age. So be prepared for that. I hear you on the lactose, man. I can't eat cheese, dairy, nothing. One day a year I have pizza day. It's a great day. It's followed by 3 bad days. And depression and anxiety. It's a bitch. I don't know who in the stand-up community isn't dealing with it, but I also have a strong suspicion if they're not dealing with it, then they're probably not that funny. I never did improv. Always stand up. I always looked at improv as like the kids in high school who were in band, and stand up as the kids who were in bands. More of a solo experience, definitely. And also kind of more of a freedom of creation rather than a group effort.
Question number 2.
What's the first experience as a child that you truly remember? Whether it's a birthday party or mowing the lawn.
I was either 4 or 5 years old. In preschool, this kid in our class, Ryan, was a bully. He would knock over people's blocks and stuff like that. Wasn't very nice. I somehow managed to hang out with him one time at his house and had a great time with him, and he wasn't mean anymore after that. I did that a few times. I would always have a nemesis growing up, and they would have the stereotypical 2 sidekicks that you see in movies, and I would befriend one of them.
You had me starting out saying fuck Ryan, and then by the end of the story, you're hanging out with him. You're bully adjacent, you know? I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, one could say that you just were part of the gang.
Question number 3.
Do you have a hobby you always wanted to pursue that you never followed through on?
That always sits in the back of your mind?
I've pursued pretty much everything I had wanted to. I did go to wrestling school for my 18th birthday with my brother, but I'm not athletic enough to be a pro wrestler. I would love to be a commentator because my geekiness would be good for play-by-play, and as a color commentator I would love to play a Borscht Belt Catskills Jewish comedian heel. I love creative writing, but I'm not as grammatically skilled as I want to be, and before I wanted to do comedy I wanted to be a screenwriter.
If you had followed through on the wrestling, Robo Rich, let me pitch the character to you. He's a robot and he's constantly losing nuts and bolts around the ring, which he power slams his opponent into. Kind of like that deathmatch stuff I see on the internet with the light bulbs and the barbed wire. Possibly also shoots oil onto the ring and then people slip in it. Not a bad idea, but I don't watch a lot of wrestling, so I will say that. As far as a Borscht Belt Jewish comedian heel, I'm going to have to look those words up. I don't know what they mean. Borscht Belt. I think borscht is a meat. I could be wrong. Moving on.
Question number 4.
What's something you believe to be true that most people think is false?
I can't really think of anything. I'm not religious. I was raised Jewish but not super hardcore. Had my bar mitzvah and my grandfather died when I was 13 and I started questioning things. I was an asshole atheist in my teens. That's pretty standard. Basically picking up the worst qualities of Bill Maher and Richard Dawkins. Now my view on it is I'm not religious, but I only dislike the bigots and true idiots. Atheists often make the mistake of bunching religious people together, that they all believe in the same thing. Every single person has a different opinion and view religious/spiritually. I think Buddhism and spiritual stuff makes more sense. Politically, it's pretty insane to me how people still act like it's a conspiracy that the two parties are corrupt, that both the DNC and GOP are terrible.
I hear you on that atheism thing. I mean, I knew a bunch of people who atheist, agnostic, and split hairs. And then in my world, all those fellas and ladies grew up to adopt astrology as their religion. I think that the stars are the religion of the modern atheist. And I think it's just another belief system. But I could just be part of that group think that you're talking about. So, yeah. It's really hard to see the difference in the political parties these days. I don't agree with anybody, really. I'm a mix of values. I think most of us are a mix of values if we sit down and think about it or talk honestly at the end of the day. But, you know, if everybody got in an agreement, then that wouldn't be good for the powers that be, right?
Question number 5.
How much time would you have to spend alone before the freedom of it wore off and you became bored or depressed?
I love spending time alone. I'm not agoraphobic, but I do prefer being at home by myself. I can keep myself entertained through podcasts, music, and comedy while playing video games for hours. I could last probably the longest time alone would be 6 days, then I would have to go out and interact in public. In general, my limit socially is 4 hours. I can spend 4 hours out in public.
6 days with podcasts and video games. I'm going to top out at about 3 days. I like podcasts. I go to sleep with them on. It keeps my brain kind of focused, but not focused enough so that I can drift off a little bit easier. Conversational white noise, maybe, is a good description. And as far as being out in public, I mean, shit, I don't know if I've been out in public without alcohol in a long time, so I don't really know what my limits are. But that's my lifestyle, so not everybody can pull it off, I guess. Moving on.
Question number 6.
What's a favorite joke of yours or someone else's?
My favorite joke of mine currently is that I'm surprised I don't have gout given my diet and how I don't take care of myself, but I deserve gout on a karmic level.
There was an episode of The King of the Hill where Bobby was eating some type of meat from a local butcher. He was in love with it, a sandwich, and he got gout from it. And he had to make a decision whether he was going to go to the school dance and be able to dance with his girlfriend. But in order to do that, he had to give up those sandwiches because his foot was giving him issues. It was one of my favorite episodes of King of the Hill. Me and my sister used to laugh about it all the time. And then we bought the DVD of that season and rewatched the episode, only to discover we had made it way funnier in our minds than it was in actual reality.
Question number 7.
Make up something that sounds like a racial slur, then use it in a sentence. For example, he's a real soup sipper, if you know what I mean.
Made up slur. Always wanted to do this actually. Mine is I think all these chongos should be deported.
Wow, all these chongos should be deported. I guess you don't know that Chongo is actually a Philippine island, and those people have been impoverished by international wars for centuries, and they try to immigrate to the mainland, but they're frequently deported. It's kind of insensitive, buddy.
Question number 8.
What's a strange fact about you? I didn't eat a hot dog till I was 37 years old.
Fact about me, I have a few phobias. Birds, heights, airplanes are absolutely fine. I just could never do roller coasters. Another phobia of mine is fear of becoming an amputee.
Okay, I hate airplanes. I don't have any problems with birds. I never worried about becoming an amputee until now. How would I hold a microphone? Huh. All right, good. I'm glad that thought's in my head.
Question number 9.
What's your favorite piece of art? Whether it's an album, movie, painting or book.
My favorite comedy albums currently are Emmy Blotnick's Party Nights, 2019, Jim Gaffigan's Mr. Universe 2012. Music-wise, Gin Blossom's 1992 album New Miserable Existence and Neck Deep's 2015 album Life's Not Out to Get You.
A gin blossom is a reference to a skin disorder that alcoholics get because alcohol is a vasodilator, and upon an absurd amount of years of drinking, the blood vessels in your face get almost varicose vein-like, which is referred to as a gin blossom. It's a little piece of trivia. I wonder if you knew that.
Question 10.
Final question.
Where do you want to be in 5 years?
In 5 years, I hope to be a bit farther along in comedy. Being able to put actual content like an album. Also keep on improving with my podcast, which I started in March of 2018. It had terrible audio issues until this year 2020 when I started using a microphone, and in September I started interviewing people, mostly comedians.
Well, like I said, that audio issue, that ghost, that came back to haunt us here. So who you've been listening to is Robo Richie, famed wrestling character and podcast host of What the Heck with Richard Dweck, which I think you can find cross-platform these days. This is a Dirtbag NPR production. The opening beat is by my friend Dean Martin Stinkeye on social media. I hope it was fun.
This has been a Dirtbag NPR production. Please link, subscribe and share.